You ever just notice how stories feel different in video games? Like you're not just watching something unfold, but rather you're part of it. From cave paintings to novels to movies, humans have always looked for new ways to tell stories. But now, in our generation, that next step in storytelling evolution isn't happening on the page or on the screen. It's happening in video games. Games have moved way past being just entertainment. They've become one of the most powerful storytelling mediums out there. Not because they show us a story, but because they let us live it. Whether it's riding through the misty fields of Red Dead Redemption 2, making impossible choices in The Last of Us, or exploring the mystery-filled world in Elden Ring, video games are redefining what storytelling even means. See, books and movies have always been great at pulling people into other worlds. They make you feel, they make you imagine, but they don't give you control. You're following somebody else's path from beginning to end. In games, though, you become the storyteller. You shape what happens, how it happens, and what it means to you. Take Elden Ring, for example. It doesn't hand you a script or tell you exactly where to go. The story unfolds through exploration, through battles, and through fragments of lore you piece together yourself. No two players experience it the same way. It's like every journey is its own personal legend. And then there's the Walking Dead game, which does the opposite. It's all about choices. Every decision you make shapes relationships, changes endings, and builds emotional weight that sticks with you long after you stop playing. When you realize that a single dialogue choice could mean the difference between life or death, that's when you understand video games don't just tell stories, they make you responsible for them. Another thing that makes video game storytelling so powerful is how they blend everything: visuals, writing, music, and gameplay all into one emotional experience. Look at Red Dead Redemption 2. Its story isn't just told through dialogue, it's in the world itself. The dusty sunsets, the way the music fades in as you ride across the plains, the silence after a gunfight, every detail adds emotional weight to Arthur Morgan's story. You don't just sit and watch his story, you live his regrets, his loyalty, and his redemption. The Last of Us does something similar but in a more cinematic way. Its acting, music, and pacing rival any Hollywood film. Yet what makes it hit harder is that you're the one surviving that world. You feel Joel's fear, you protect Ellie, you live those quiet, heartbreaking moments that no film could ever replicate. Even games like Cuphead or Luigi's Mansion 3 show how storytelling can come from just style. Cuphead's 1930s cartoon art and jazz soundtrack tell a story of chaos, risk, and rhythm even without deep dialogue. With Luigi's Mansion, on the other hand, its atmosphere and humor turns every ghost encounter into a tiny narrative of bravery and fear. These games prove that great storytelling isn't only about words, it's about how every part of the experience comes together to make you feel. Of course, not everyone agrees with that idea. Some people still argue that games can't tell serious stories because players are just too focused on mechanics, on winning rather than feeling. But honestly, that couldn't be further from the truth. Take Baldur's Gate 3 for instance. It's a game filled with strategy and dice rolls, yet every decision, every relationship is dripping with emotion. The game reacts to you, your morality, your choices, and your personality. That's why it won Game of the Year, because it tells a story that's different for everyone who plays it. Even Red Dead Redemption 2, packed with shootouts and outlaws, ends with a quiet reflection on life, loyalty, and time. These stories prove that gameplay doesn't take away from emotion, it's what creates it. Because when you play a story, it becomes yours. Video games aren't just the future of storytelling, they are storytelling's next great evolution. They merge art, music, writing, and emotion into one living experience. Even the smaller details like uncovering secrets in Elden Ring or hearing a jazz riff after a boss fight in Cuphead show how much storytelling power lives inside of games. And as technology keeps advancing with better graphics, smarter AI, and full virtual worlds, these stories are only going to grow deeper and become more human. So maybe one day when people talk about the greatest stories ever told, they won't just mention books or films. They'll remember the games that made them feel something real. Because video games aren't just where stories are headed, they're where stories come to life.